Hi everyone, welcome to this month's Big Ideas Rule Masterclass. I am so excited to have the opportunity to be your guest for this month's class. My name's Lavinia Wehr and I'm a social media and PR and digital marketing specialist. I've been in the industry for about 7 years now, and it's been an interesting ride because even for myself, the one thing that I will reiterate is that it's okay to change and grow as you go. So that's a really important thing with social media presence, and that's why I'm so excited to talk about it today. So yeah, let's get into it. Before we get started, I just thought I'd do a quick introduction of who I am, because some of you might not know me. So my name is Lavinia. I am a farmer's daughter. I grew up in Esperance, Western Australia, if I can get that out. During this time, I think that it's really important to really grow your online presence. Obviously, I am at my farm right now because we're amongst the craziness of COVID-19. And for me, I am based in Perth usually, but the reason I'm based in Perth is for meetings face to face and for the fact of events, and there's no meetings or events, so I thought for my own sanity and well-being I would move to the farm, which has turned out to be, I'm on day 3 here and it's been the best decision I've ever made. So yes, tractor photo, farmer's daughter. So if you are a rural person, which most of you obviously should be, you would relate to this. I also run a podcast with my friend Kayla called Generation Ag. Highly recommended if you love hearing stories about people in the ag industry across all sectors of agriculture. It's really, really interesting. I'm also currently on the Western Australian Ag Connect Committee, which is a subcommittee of WA farmers. So I do a variety of different things, and I am so passionate about the agriculture industry. I love it. I am just so excited to be part of something so special, and for me to be delivering this workshop today is a real honor, and I feel very, very privileged. So thank you so much. And if you have any further questions, you can always go over to my social media at any time. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a quote. I always like to start off with a quote, particularly from my favorite marketer in the world, Gary Vaynerchuk. If you don't know who Gary V is, please go and look up afterwards on this, because he is one of the most spectacular marketers. I think I appreciate him the most because he is so about telling you how it is. And I'm quite like that. I try to say it how it is because I don't want people to think that the reason that we're doing things is, not to benefit business. So I like to tell people, you could spend all this money here, but if you spend it over here, it's probably going to be better. It's all trial and error marketing, but yeah, he's just the best marketer. I highly recommend. I know Tori would recommend him as well. So this is his quote. "We are all full PR mode of ourselves. We are now living our lives for the Instagram photo." So what he means by this is that we are promoting ourselves every time we are on social media. Now, traditionally with your business, and I know a lot of people traditionally in agriculture and rural areas, their business was not about who was in the business, it was about the business itself. Now we're changing that up, especially with online presence. People buy from people. So your business should be about you. And you can even it out, and I believe my socials are a good example of this. Yes, I am self-named, but I do change it up and try not to have photos of myself. But we'll go through some examples during this of a social named person who uses their business through their name, and a business that uses a name and still has a persona behind it. We'll get into more if you're a bit confused right now. So let's just go through online channels quickly. So there's 6 main online channels. We're not going to go into detail with them, but they're Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. Please don't stress if you're not on all of them. You do not have to be on all of them. It's overwhelming and it is a lot. But I highly suggest if you're going to be on one platform, it's Instagram. And if you're going to go on 2, it's Facebook, potentially Twitter, but that's if your target market is there. And that's what online presence is all about. So 4.54 billion people use the internet worldwide. So if you've got any friends or anyone in the industry who doesn't understand what the reason is for using social media or digital marketing for your business, just show them this fact. You've got this masterclass, screenshot it, do whatever. And this is legit. So you are missing out on so many people if you haven't got a good online presence. 81% of small businesses and medium businesses use some sort of social media platform. So during this time particularly, everyone's looking to digital. There's no events, there's no networking, there's limited amount of so many things. So using social media is huge. You want to use social media to be able to develop an amazing ability for people to understand who your business is, what your business does, who's behind your business, and all of those different things. Those 20% that aren't, and this is small business across the board, it's probably way less if you were to look at all agricultural and rural businesses. The amount of them that actually utilize social media appropriately, a lot of them got on it in 2017, 2016, used it a couple of times, didn't see the value in it because they thought it was a sprint, not a marathon, which social media is. If you look at social media short term, you're really, really missing the value. So I highly recommend to anyone who is not seeing the value, show them this. They will totally understand. All right. So these are some examples that I thought would be great to talk about from good social media presence. Now, Ellie H. Swift is a Perth mindset marketing coach. She's amazing. And what she does is she really has developed a community. She's making 6-figure income now. She puts herself out there a huge amount. So her online presence is a great one to go and have a look. I'd highly recommend having a look at her account. Here we can have a look at it and just say, okay, she uses her name. She uses keywords like marketing and mindset. She uses herself as a marketing tool to bring in clients. She's becoming an aspiration for people who are her target market clients. So people see her, they see her presence, and they go, this is what I want. This is where I want to go. This is who I want to be. And she's done an amazing job. She's created this audience in about a year and a half because her online presence and her lifestyle has become her business. This is one extreme. You don't have to go down this. I'll admit it can be very exhausting. Sometimes you might think, oh God, I have to turn up all the time. No, you need to set your own boundaries for when you're going to turn up and when you're going to be available for your people online. It's not all about being available online all the time, but it's about understanding when to be available. And another good example is Trademark. Now, if you don't know who Trademark are, they're an amazing workwear brand. You might have seen them. They've got crazy, colourful, amazing patterns of work shirts and a variety of other things. Now, they are a business, but what they do that makes them special is they have a really intricate, amazing behind the scenes way of using their Instagram story. I'd highly recommend getting on there and having a look. Because what they do is they've developed themselves as characters online as the guys behind the business. And they've developed this narrative about what's going on behind the business. And that's how they've been able to grow their business because people see the people behind the business. They see the passion, they see the hard work, and they see the yearning for something more. And especially with agricultural and rural values, we really can relate to that hard-working sort of manner, that manner of being able to really develop something strong. So we feel like we will sort of unintentionally move towards looking at businesses like Trademark because we see the real people behind the business. And if you scroll through their feed, it's very professional. They share pictures of other people. Okay, so what they do is they really do develop an amazing awareness for their business and they grow their narrative as they do this. It's really amazing. It's really, really good job. Okay, now let's evaluate your social media presence and let's look at your presence. I've created a resource to help with the following slide. So you'll be able to jump on and you'll be able to help yourself understand if your social media presence is good or if it needs a little bit of help. So these are my top 3 tips on showing up. Consistency. Be consistent with the amount of time that you show up online. So I did just talk about you don't have to be present online every day. You just have to make a little commitment. So if you're not used to putting yourself on social and you're not used to putting yourself out there, just do little tidbits at a time. Maybe it's once a week. So probably 2.5 years ago when I first started thinking that I was going to self-brand and go out on my own, what I did is before I grew my business account, on my personal account, because I already had more followers, I would do a tip. Every Thursday, it would be a social media tip, and it was so basic, but at that time, that's all I needed to start to become the expert. So I just grew that, and I started to grow, and I started to create more awareness, and every Thursday consecutively, probably for about 25 weeks maybe, I grew that account, and I really was able to develop an amazing understanding with my audience of who I was, what I did. So that's my tip. Be consistent. Maybe just start with showing up once a week and doing one thing differently that is starting to position yourself a little bit more online and showing your online presence. Number 2, set boundaries. Know your limits and use the platforms wisely. So don't go and use 10 platforms. If you're feeling overwhelmed with your business in this situation right now, that's okay. I'm overwhelmed. We don't know what's happening. We don't know what the future holds. So maybe it's just saying, okay, I'm really going to step away from Facebook and I'm just going to use Instagram solely, and I'm going to use that to develop a presence, and I'm not going to worry too much about the other platforms right now. That's fine. Just do that. And maybe you say, I'm just going to do 10 minutes of engagement a day. I'm going to do 1 story a week, and that's all. It's what works for you. That's not to be doing. And that wraps thirdly into my 3rd tip. Stay true to you. Be authentic about who you are and don't be influenced by others in the industry. So when I first started out, I wasn't influenced by other people, but I was very aware of what they were doing and how they were reaching out to their audiences. So I didn't really influence myself probably in the best way, because I was affected psychologically. I probably was affected by what they were doing, and I was like comparing myself without comparing myself, if that makes sense. So my best tip is only follow people, and I know Tori and I have spoken about this. Only follow people who bring value and make you happy and don't question you and don't second guess yourself. Only people who have the passion you have. Some people will drill the social media every day, 50 social media Instagrams slides. They're so passionate. They're always on. They've got these bright, bubbly, for me, that's anxiety in a nutshell. So just do what's you. If that's not you, don't do it. Just do what makes you feel good, because at the end of the day, that's how you're really gonna feel good about putting yourself on social, is if you're doing it in a way that reflects how you are as a business woman and how you are as a sole trader or how you are as an owner of a big company. You want to really reflect what works for you. So yeah, don't worry about what other people are doing. And if you're following them, a fabulous tip, especially on Instagram, you can hold down their profile and you can hide their story and you can hide their Instagram. So just if you are worried about unfollowing them, don't unfollow them, just hide them. That's the best tip I've ever had. I use it all the time. Not all the time, some of the time, because I think it's important, obviously, you're keeping up with them and what they're doing, but you're also making sure that you're good with your presence as well. Evaluating your social media presence. Okay, so I've got my resource available and I've put these 4 questions on the resource and I want you to fill it out. I want you to look at what you're already doing that's really good on social media, and then from this next slide forward, We're going to look at how to be better on social media, how to provide value to our audience, how to make our audience thrive on social. So let's talk about the evaluation. Time spent online. So I know now more than ever, a lot of you are probably going to have heightened online time spent because we've got less work coming in maybe. Maybe some of us have more work coming in. Fabulous. But if you have less time, make sure you're dedicating time appropriately. So I usually say engage for 15 minutes online per day. If it's got to be a little bit more, then maybe 20, 25, but make sure you're healthy and happy about it. If you go to your social media and go, oh, I do not want to do this today, don't do it. That's the best thing I can give you advice for. You want to feel good about the time that you're spending online and your presence, because often people can see the inauthentic side of you. If you're just commenting for the sake of commenting, if you're just showing up for the sake of it, you can really tell. That's why a lot of the time, if I'm not feeling my best or I'm a bit anxious, or, you know, I've got stuff going on, I don't show up on social, and that's my choice, and my followers are aware of that. You don't always have to address the reasons why you're not showing up, but just make sure that you're showing up in a positive manner when you are showing up, and you're dedicating appropriate times to social media, and you're not getting caught up in what everyone else is doing, because yeah, it's a bit of a dog-eat-dog world right now. So you just want to do what's right for you. Don't pressure yourself into doing something just because someone else is spending an hour a day. That's extreme. Engagement. Okay, so when you are online, are you spending time talking to the followers you already have? A lot of the time, when people first start an account, they ask, you know, how can I get to 1,000 followers? How can I get to 10,000 followers? I do have a video on how to get to 1,000 followers on YouTube if you want to have a look at it, actually. I just remembered. But it's not about growing your following. It's actually about curating content for the following that you already have. And that is how you'll grow your following. If you're niching down and really providing value, so in the beginning, my account was just for regular small businesses in social media and digital, and from there I started curating content more rurally and agricultural, because that's what I love and that's what I thrive in, and people can see that, and that's when your following will dramatically increase. And I get amazing engagement on my socials now because it is people who are interested in what I'm trying to say and how I'm trying to say it. Whereas if you're creating content and you're spending time engaging with people who are not following you, I think you should do it a little bit, not as much as what we used to say. We used to be like, you know, comment 10 comments for every like, or 1 comment for every like, or something like that. But I think now, if you spend more time engaging with the people who are commenting and who are already following you, and being more aware of those people, you'll actually naturally grow a new following. I think it's really good to use some hashtags and go and comment on some of those photos from the relevant hashtags to you, sure, but your following will come from creating interesting content that actually relates to a target market. Your value. Is your content adding value and providing a point of difference? Okay, so let's take, for example, there's 2 similar shops selling the same similar things in the same similar online space. What's the point of difference for you versus them is that you need to create your business uniquely around your value and your business proposition and who you are as a person. If you can sell yourself as your business, not in a gimmicky way, but just say, you know, if you're sharing Instagram stories every day saying, this is who I am, I'm a one-man band, I'm creating this great product, and I'm so thankful to X, Y, and Z for buying it, that's a really amazing way at actually providing content and a point of difference for your unique community. I think you need to really say thank you to the people who are already providing you with business, and keep working on that to be able to develop amazing skills for your social media. That's a great tip. Sharing your story. I mean, it's touched on in all of what we've talked about, but are you sharing your story in a unique way? A lot of great businesses utilize stories to tell the story of their family. A really great one is Wild Horses. It's a Perth fashion label. And she utilizes her stories to tell the story of her family. And that's really special because she's a small label. And it's really quite, she doesn't do a huge amount. There are some that, and Amore Sauveté, an amazing swimwear brand, also do it. They're still telling the behind the scenes, because a lot of the time, even these bigger brands, it's still a one-man band because they use virtual assistants and that sort of thing. So I think it's really important to share your story and curate it in the way that you're comfortable with. And sometimes it might be little snippets of a little sneak peek of what's happening in your life here and there. It doesn't have to be anything huge. But there's so many valuable things you can utilize to actually tell your story in an amazing way that is really special, that captivates your audience. And that once they're captivated, then you can start introducing the sell factors. Messaging. So now we're going to get on to my tips and tricks for increasing your online presence. We've already talked a lot about this already, but we're going to go into more detail. So, what's in it for your audience? When you're messaging, you want to make sure that your captions and the curation of content actually provides value. You want to make sure that there is interesting. If you're sell, you're going to lose people. If you're selling, some people say you should sell one sell for every 3 posts. It's really up to your target market and how it works for you. To be honest, I try and just provide value and information, and at the end I have a call to action. So if you're looking at who you're targeting, make sure you look at who's already bought your product and service, or who you'd like to buy your product and service. Be as specific as possible. If you're specific, people will really hone in on it. And you need to take it. Sometimes this takes a long time. Sometimes you never see the right person come to you, but then 6 months later, someone goes, oh, so-and-so introduced me to you. And that's when you know you've got a win. So what's your goal for your online business? Have a goal. If you've got a service or if you've got a product, say, I want X amount to have bought this product by this, and be realistic with your goals. You don't want to be too crazy in the beginning, especially if you have a small following. Just have a small goal. My goals are often small. Sometimes they need to be bigger, but we can often be afraid. But it's okay to have big goals too, because that just means you have to work harder and you have to provide more logistics on how you're going to actually utilize the tools, and then that goes into creating more of a call to action. So our call to action is what you should use. I use it a lot on my social media posts to create awareness with my businesses and with my services. So at the end of most of my posts, I say, if you'd like to learn more, send me an email at lavinia@laviniawehr.com.au. Or another call to action could be, there's a link in my bio to my free webinar. So I'm providing value free of charge to people to be able to utilize my services, and then from there, that's how you can convert them to paid clients. Can your information be shared? All right, so information to be shared, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If it's something interesting like a fact, so sometimes, the facts I utilize, 81% of small businesses use social media. I'm going to use that on my Instagram tonight. So this is Tuesday. You guys will get this on Thursday. So people can share that themselves using the share tools to be able to put it on their Instagram story. It's a great way to get your content out there and for people to utilize it. There also might be other ideas, like you have a competition or you have another interesting sort of idea or element to your social media that you can utilize for people to share. But you've got to create content that people want to share. Itchy nose, itchy nose, itchy nose. Okay, and then can they go somewhere to learn more? So if you're saying, I've got this available, check it out, have a link in your bio for that webinar, have a link in your bio for that product or service, have somewhere where they can go if they want to learn more. Even the message tool and the email me tool buttons on your Instagram or your Facebook are really valuable. So you've got those quick call to actions so people don't have to do 10 steps to get in touch with you. Let's go on to website and blogging. Okay, if you don't have a website yet, no worries. There is a few steps you can utilize. But if you do have a website, online presence doesn't just go from social media. Social media is one part. If you search your name or your business in Google now, does it come up? If your business social media isn't coming up, then I want you to go into your website and check your searchability SEO. Look, if you don't know what this is, I want you to go and get someone who is a website builder, a good website builder, and have them have a look at your SEO, especially if you're selling a product or a service. You want to have it available online. You want people to be able to one-click Google you and have found you straight away. Look, I have had an article or a couple in the newspapers before, and I had people who Googled my name and I came up and they searched me and they're now clients. That's a great way to use clients and that's a great way to gain clients. So please make sure you have a searchability. Okay, use web pages. So use web pages to draw clients in, make it simple, make sure that you've got web pages which are SEO approved. If you don't know what SEO is, please talk to a web professional. Google it, go on YouTube it. There's heaps of information. I don't have enough time to talk about search engine optimization, which is what SEO stands for, but you can get the general gist, especially if you built your website. You want to utilize it to the best of your ability. If you don't have a website, but you just want to have a landing page where someone can click and get a PDF document or a piece of value, MailChimp has a great landing page available that you can utilize and build a page quickly. Go to MailChimp and then you'll be able to utilize all this help areas if you're stuck on that. Highly recommend it. Okay, so let's get to the blogging. Blogging is a very traditional form of using web pages, especially because web pages need to be able to be optimized. They need to have enough writing on them so you can search them, whole nother area. I personally don't utilize blogs on my website as much as I probably should, but I know who my target market is now and I know where my target market find me, and it's not blogging. Blogging is great if you are a traditional person who loves to read, but the majority of my clients are bigger businesses. They are very time poor and they need things to be quickly. So audible blogs and video diaries are the best way. Actually, YouTube is a brilliant way. I don't utilize YouTube as much as I used to because you have to really understand what areas of your time things need. But it is a great way if you want to get things out there quickly. I put my webinars that are free on there. I think it's a great search tool for people. I also think audible blogs, like doing a podcast searchability is amazing. Our podcast searchability for Generation Ag is phenomenal. You Google one of our clients, this week had Jared, who's an IBM executive. If you search his name in Google now, our podcast is his third search result. Phenomenal. And then from there, people can usually go find the routes to where they're looking for. So I highly recommend podcasting. And there's a few people in Australia who are doing that. If you want any help with podcasting, we can definitely help you out there. Definitely something to look into. And I know Tori's doing it with Big Ideas Rule on their own now, with this having gone live today. So yeah, definitely think about podcasting. But you have to understand if it's going to be right for your target market. Video diaries. So vlogging behind the scenes of your business, doing a weekly vlog of what goes on. How people love people. I've already said that. And people love to know what people are doing behind the scenes and how everything's being manufactured. If you've got products, they want to know who the people are in the business. Yeah, it's so interesting. So make sure that you really are utilizing this vlogging, and vlogs can go on YouTube. You can put it straight on your website. You can also put them on your social media, cut them up. So content can be utilized across every platform in different ways. So make sure you're thinking about that when you're creating your monthly content plan and how you can evaluate your business's potential for growing. So yeah, that's a great one to think about. And if you want to learn more about that, please send me a message. Communication tools. All right, so we have touched on this already, but with social media being the biggest presence, there's also a variety of areas that we can look into further. All right, so say if Instagram, God forbid, went down tomorrow, have you got all your clients' emails in one place to be able to send weekly emails out to them? MailChimp is an amazing way, and I'm sure you've all noticed by now that every single person who you've ever subscribed to, bought something from, been around, has sent you an email about COVID-19. I swear I've got 1,000 emails a day. It's driving me crazy. But that's because they were smart. They collected your email when you did have a product or service bought through them, and if you hadn't subscribed but they don't send weekly emails, now they're sending you email updates. And it's really smart for them because you're being bombarded with so much information. It's almost overwhelming. So this is a great tool to utilize. Okay, YouTube. We've just touched on this, but I highly recommend it. It's great searchability. If you search Lavinia Wehr in videos, my videos will come up straight away. It's a great tool for people to find you because the World Wide Web has a lot of information out there, and you want to be the #1 ranking search. Video is a great way to do that. With video and using YouTube, it's easier than you think. You don't have to worry too much about it. Don't stress if you're not sure about it, if you're a bit overwhelmed. It's okay. It's all right. I see that with the video over top. The top one here is MailChimp or email. So obviously, sorry, you can't see that, but that's what it says. Weekly communication, I think, is really important at the moment. There are a lot of businesses that are missing out on sending a weekly email update or a fortnightly communication, updating people with what's happening. I think that's really important. Yeah, podcasting, we've already touched on. Blogs, if it's right for your client, if it's right for your consumer, if it's right for your target market, go ahead and blog. And another one that I know Tori has touched on is text messaging. If you're in a rural area, text messaging and utilizing this to send information out, especially I've seen this has increased a lot in the last couple of months as well. Huge. Do it. It's amazing. It's the best way to quickly say, hey guys, we've got 20% off at the moment. Don't forget to shop with us. We'd love for you to come and join us. You might be offering a free service or a skill or something interesting that people might be wanting to get on board, particularly during this time when we know that it is a tough time out there for people. Whew. 34 minutes. Okay. So I'm about halfway. But okay, let's get on with getting comfortable online because I get this question a lot. I'm really comfortable now in front of a camera. I am try to be as real as I am on here as I am in person. Sometimes I do try and be a little bit more on because, I think that helps encourage people, but it's exhausting. Being online, filming yourself, particularly today, obviously my desk's got really great lighting coming in. That's really good information. You also want to sort of be comfortable. I'm wearing casual clothes today because I know you guys all are at home at the moment. You want to make sure you're reading your audience a lot. So you can't see number 1 because of my video. I'm sorry about that. But number 1 is practice filming yourself. Sounds a little bit nuts, I know. Sounds a little bit crazy. But practicing filming yourself is not as crazy as you think. I do it a little bit now, just when I'm going to film for client stuff. I just want to be my best self, so I make sure that I, practice my angles, make sure my computer's set up right, and just make sure I kind of know how I'm going to intro things. If I know how I'm going to intro things, then everything else just flows. Like today, I don't really have a script. I know what I'm talking about, and I just develop my points from what I've already put here because then it makes it more authentic, and no one's perfect. So I think the more that we sort of try and be perfect online, the less likely we are to have people engage. So I'm a really big believer in making that these sort of videos more personal, more intricate. I don't try and edit anything, because if you're having a coffee with somebody, you're not going to edit yourself when you're having a coffee. If you miss a pronunciation or you get caught up in what you're saying, you're not going to go back and edit. So I just feel like the best thing to do is practice being online and just practice being yourself. So you can start with audio as well. You can start with audio as well. Audio is a great way to just start talking to yourself, just record yourself. So this might be a great way to just start developing your skills linguistically, and pronunciations. If you do have a bit of trouble, I highly recommend starting to pronounce things, just so I particularly do speak quite fast, and I'm very sorry for that. But I have a lot of information that I want to get out to people. I have a lot of ideas that I want to share. So for me, I get very excited. So starting to speak and starting to understand how you pronounce things is a really good way to be able to develop your awareness online. Number 3, I don't write a script. Personally, I don't do well with a script, but if you need to write a script, that's a great way, especially in your first couple of videos or your first couple of podcasts, whatever you decide to do. A script might be a great way for you to be able to feel comfortable online and develop your presence. I think as you go, step away from a script, because I think scripts can often lead to segmented conversation. So, or you always having to reflect on the next script point. Whereas if you just keep the conversation going, we don't script any of Generation Ag podcast at all. It's unscripted. The only thing we do is have our 10 questions available, because it's unscripted and we get better conversation. We get more interesting availability and awareness, and yeah, it's just a really good idea. All right, number 4. Get feedback from your friends. So often before I put something online, not necessarily my masterclasses, or I do a fair bit. I won't for this one because I'm pretty comfortable with what I'm putting online, but sometimes I will get feedback from friends. So before my webinar went live, I had my mum and one of my best friends, who is very aware of our industry, watch it through. And there was no issues, thank goodness. That's why I'm very comfortable with the topics I talk about. So I feel very confident in how I say them. But sometimes you might miss a little section. Something could be a bit confrontational. Potentially it could not be received well. Maybe you say the wrong thing, that sort of thing. So yeah, film something and then send it to a friend, your boyfriend, your husband, your sister, your brother, someone who you know will give you honest feedback. It's a really good idea. Set a goal. So I mentioned earlier that I did my weekly Instagram stories, social media tip. So my goal for you would be set a goal, whether it's going to be a little Instagram snippet a week, it might be 2 stories a week, it might be 1 story of you talking about your business, it might be another story of you showing a bit more behind the scenes. But try and set a story a week. I think it's a really good idea and it helps stay consistent. So yeah, 6, stay consistent. And I know we've talked about this the whole way through, but honestly, consistency is so important. I cannot talk about this highly enough. Stay consistent. I know it's really hard right now, and I know a lot of people are not feeling motivated, and I hope this will motivate you, but stay consistent with what you're talking about and really allow yourself to thrive during this time. And little consistency goals. Maybe for a month you decide, I'm going to do 5 minutes of stories a week, and then the next month you say, okay, I'm going to do 2 5-minute stories this week. And then it will start to flow and feel natural, where you'll be picking up the camera and just talking to your audience and not even thinking twice about it. Okay, eBay tripods are your best friend. I'm going to get mine. Oh yes, it's here. I've got all my stuff. Okay, so when you go onto my social media, you will see that I, a lot of the time, have stuff filmed, parallel. And that is a great, I think this was about maybe $30. It's an iPhone tripod. So easy to use. I use it all the time. It is the greatest trick to filming when you're filming stuff for Instagram or for your Instagram story, because you don't have to hold your phone, and it's so much more comfortable. It's a great way. There are also other things. I'll get this one out as well. This is a stabilizer, DJI stabilizer. This one is a bit more expensive. I think this is maybe $150. But this is a great tool. Ooh. So this one is a great tool, and you just put your phone. So if you're filming content, let's see if this one will turn on. I think she's dead. This is great. You just put your phone in it. It's stable. It's amazing. It's the best thing. I'd highly recommend it. So you don't need to have a lot of expensive equipment. You just need to have a little bit of equipment. Even myself today, I'm using a little lapel mic to talk into. Could have held that. And I think this is maybe $30. It's just a stadium one. Just little things like that, and it will make your content so much more professional, especially right now when you can't get videographers or you can't get photographers because of all the rules. So that's what I highly recommend. Number 8, YouTube editing videos. Okay, so if you haven't edited videos before or you're struggling, YouTube has so many videos on editing. If you've got spare time at the moment, we've all got spare time. We can't do anything on the weekends. Our hobbies, our sports are all gone. So spend some time understanding how to edit your videos better and how to utilize. You can use simple things like iMovie or the equivalent on Windows. That's okay, but you just have to understand how to utilize them to actually create good content. And there are also easy tools on your iPhones as well. You can utilize. There's heaps of different things. If you'd like to learn more about that or need a little bit of guidance in that, please send me a message. I'll send you a couple of apps that are really good as well. All right, let's talk about growth. We've touched on growth, but let's just go into a little bit more detail because I think that it's really important to really talk about that detail. So number 1, yes, you can see it, just double checking. Think about optimizing your website with a call to action. So if we go back to my website, let me just go back to it. You can see here that I've got a let's chat. I've got a learn more. I've got buttons. If you go into my homepage, I've got buttons the whole way along. So if people are interested, they can actually go straight to my about me. They can go straight to contact me. It's a really, really great way to actually create growth in your business online. So I'd highly recommend doing that. Also, think of unique ways to engage with your audience. So a lot of people are doing polls. I like to do on every Monday, I kind of do, what are you up to today? Or what's your one big goal of the week? I did one of those yesterday. Sometimes I get a lot of engagement, other times not. I think at the moment, a lot of people are super overwhelmed because business for a lot of people have obviously ceased or it's not working momentarily. So just be aware of those sort of things. I think it's just about being there for your clients and your audience and just saying, you know, you need a friendly person to chat to. I'm always here. Another great way to grow your online presence during this time is collaboration. So obviously, Tori bringing people in to do the Big Ideas Rule is a great collaboration because it's a way for myself to be in front of new people, but it's also a great way for me to share Big Ideas Rule over on my socials. So, and social media doesn't have to be about how many people are following you. It can also be about how many people are, you know, actually engaging. Some people have 10,000 followers, and of those 10,000 followers, they get 100 likes. And some people have 2,000 followers and they get 500 likes per post. So engagement's really, really important. Oh, I see I've missed a bracket. Please excuse that. I'm not going to go and edit it again, but I've missed a bracket. Okay, so create a specific target market. The more detailed, the better. I have a target market worksheet I'm actually going to include in this, I think, as well. Give it to Tori, because I think it's really important to be as specific in your target market during this time as possible. If you don't niche down on your target market, you're going to really miss out. We were talking about our target market to each other the other day, and we have clearly different target markets. Tori works with the very much the sole trade, the small businesses. As I do work with some small trade and sole businesses, but I work with a lot of medium to larger size companies as well. So we work across different things. I also do a lot more PR for smaller businesses, rather she does a lot of social media management. Engage with your audience. I know I've talked about this 100 times. Just keep engaging, spend that time liking, talking with them, commenting, great idea. Stay active. Make sure you're always staying active with your audience. You know, sometimes we need a break, and that's okay. Take a break, then come back even stronger. That's really important as well. Know what's trending. All right, we can really get on the back of what's trending. When it comes to building relationships, there's some huge ideas. Always mention the people who are referring to these amazing trends. Always share their content if it's interesting. Right now, COVID-19 is the biggest hashtag out there. So get on board or think of interesting ways to get around that. TikTok's huge. Have a look at what's trending on TikTok and see how you can bring it over to other content creators. You know, have a look at everything. You've got a bit more time now. Spend it, but make sure you're in the right frame of mind. And the last tip for growing your online presence is creating content people want to see. Sometimes we create content we think is going to provide value and then it flops. Create content people want to see. People love people. Create authentic, people loving content. Yes, we've got to get our value in there, but just make sure you're gauging what you're actually creating. Personal brand. So personal brand is now more important than ever. Word of mouth is still one of the most important tools. If you're using a business that's not utilizing your personal brand, it's really important to develop those behind the scenes and introduction of the people who are behind the brand. Now people know me as Lavinia Wehr, the business social media expert. So niche and find your specialty. Since I've niched, and I've already talked about this, so I'm really niching in agriculture and rural business. I have been able to provide so much more value, and I just find that clients are flowing and work's flowing and business is flowing, and there's such a huge growth in what I'm doing and the types of clients I've got that I'm working with. So I highly recommend this. You also want to live your brand, okay? So if you are pushing things out that you believe, make sure you really believe them. You want to be as authentic as possible. You want to have as many people who value you as possible, and you make sure that you're really understanding who these people are and how much value you can provide them. So I highly recommend this. And you want to let other people tell your story. So that comes back to kind of word of mouth. If you can put out as an authentic and amazing story as possible, you'll be amazed at how many people will share your content, tell your story, and tell people about who you are. The amount of people that come up to me now and that know our podcast, know who I am, and know what I'm doing is crazy. There wouldn't be an event, not that there's an event right now, that I wouldn't have somebody who comes up to me and says, you know, I listened to your podcast, or I've seen you do this. And I think that's really powerful because it shows that people are listening and they're understanding what I'm doing. And with that, be consistent. Always show up and always make sure that you are talking to people and providing them with value, and always checking your messages. If it's simple thing, replying to DMs, replying to comments, that's really, really important too. Authenticity. So being authentic is so important to me. The biggest comment that I get is when people say, oh, you're exactly who you are in person as you are online. And for me, I find that really, really happy. It humbles me. So it does really make me happy because I really want to be that person that people see online. And obviously we are a little bit on sometimes, you know, in my own time, I'm not as on, I am off. But yeah, when I show up to events, when I'm around people, when I'm with clients, I'm really 100%, I'm here to be the best digital marketing PR consultant that they have. So be authentic with your online presence, be human. I am human. I don't try and edit myself. If I muck up, I just post it anyway, because no one's perfect. Even today, I put a little bit of makeup on to cover, obviously, a bit of unclear skin. But, you know, I'm not going to flash myself too much. I don't believe in worrying too much about that. We're building relationships with people. So people who have got relationships online, I chat with them every other day. I make sure they're all good. We make sure that we're really, really growing together. I think that's really important. So make sure that you're really growing those relationships with people, and that they're really authentic relationships that you're growing, and that you're really comfortable with those relationships, because it does reflect back on you, who are your advocates. So if those advocates are the same value system as you really want to make sure you're pushing content out for them. Make your online presence known. So I think with this, make sure you're always showing up, that you're always pushing content out, but that you're always making sure that, you know, you have a few content pieces that you boost, or your collaborations, or you're putting stuff on social media. I know sometimes it might feel like you're just putting out content, you're saying, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. But I guarantee that a lot of people are not consuming the content the way that you are. So you might put something out. Don't think twice about it unless it's really controversial, because a lot of people are seeing your content for 2 seconds and they keep scrolling. Because it's your content, you get a little bit overwhelmed and think that you're looking at it for a huge amount of time, but you're really not. Post photos of yourself. So I've posted photos of myself. Oh, this one's a nice one. I actually really like it. This was a photo shoot I did in September. A more business professional. I think it's good to have a variety of different photos to, you know, reflect you. I think I'm going to do a country shoot in a couple of weeks. But yeah, just some organic photos of yourself. Obviously, photo shoots are a little bit set up, but getting comfortable in front of the camera is really, 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 really important. So you want to make sure that, you know, your feeds can easily be integrated with your website, and that you're really confident in what's happening. Cross promote your website with other things as well. These are all really, really good ideas to utilize to be able to be as authentic as possible. Set goals. I'm sure you've all heard of the SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, relevant, and time bound. But set goals for engagement and stick to them. Goals are really important, especially in the beginning. I have little things set in my calendar that allow me to make sure that I'm always keeping on with my goals, and that I'm growing at a consistent rate. I know sometimes we do fall off the bandwagon, but just try and stay motivated. Or, you know, a group of you who have small businesses, get together and create a group on Messenger and keep each other motivated. I think that's really, really important, because often when we're working from home, we don't get motivated, we feel a little bit low, particularly now. So perhaps you set up a Zoom group, or it's with you guys in this Facebook group. You make sure you stay accountable for what you're doing. Small goals mean big outcomes. So that means basically, you know, you might say, I want 5 new followers this week. I want 10 new followers next week. Before you know it, you'll have 1,000 followers. Small goals mean big outcomes. Don't think unrealistically, but small goals are great, and you can celebrate those goals. Another idea is make sure you're checking your insights, especially on Instagram and Facebook. I have a little set timer. I check them weekly to see my growth. It's not a huge goal for mine at the moment to have a huge growth. It's actually about making sure that I've got a great audience following me, and these are people that are actually wanting to be part of my business. But make sure you're checking your insights to see what your target market's looking like, to see which posts are getting the most traction, to see where your website clicks are coming from, which posts. I think that's really, really important to look at every week. Competition. Know your competition. Competition's one of the most important parts of business. I mean, I have touched on this already, but I make sure that you know who your competition is and what they're doing and what they're putting out there. If you don't exactly have a competition, just make sure you're following people who are in similar industries that are doing similar things. Analyze and watch what they do. You don't have to watch what they do all the time, but every now and again check in, because you never know. You don't want to steal someone's idea, but you can always think about how they're doing something innovatively and how you can do it differently, but also in an innovative way. Don't compare, just be aware. So you just want to be aware and open to what these people are doing. You want to make sure that you're, knowing which platforms they're using, how they're utilizing it, how many followers they're growing. If you look at their profile, they've got 15,000 and then next week they've got 25,000. What did they do to grow? Did they do an event? Did they do an online event? Did they do a collaboration? Something like that. Healthy competition is okay. It's okay to have competition. I think competition makes us better. I think competition actually allows us to grow. I think competition actually means that we will be better in the content that we're producing. And that means that you want to be looking at how much people, if you're on the same level as someone and they're spending money on creating content, you should probably look at spending money in that area. Marketing is a huge part of your business. You're not going to get new business growth if you're not reaching new people. Healthy competition is okay. And don't follow people who don't inspire you. If someone who is competition doesn't inspire you, they just don't overwhelm you, don't follow them. That's okay. It's okay to just follow people who inspire you, make you happy, keep you going, keep you having a fun time. Don't worry about people who don't make you happy. All right, I think I've spoken for long enough. I feel like it's been nearly an hour of speaking. I hope that you've got some value out of this. Remember, just get out there, try a new platform, practice videoing yourself. Even if for the next month you practice videoing yourself and you just send it to your close friends on Instagram, you can always set that up through Instagram stories. I also recommend getting a photo shoot done. Even if you're just the back end of your business, this is a great, even if you're, say you create bathers or you create candles, even getting your husband or your partner or your, sister or your brother or your auntie to get some behind the scenes photos of you making your product. They are really good value for you to be able to have content for the next 6 months to be able to put out. I still use this photo shoot September, October, November, December, January, February. It's March. 7 months later, I can still utilize these photos for content like I am today. Spend time on your target market. Make sure you're really, really evaluating your target market. You're really utilizing them. You're really allowing them to be the most authentic part of your business. I cannot recommend this more. Please utilize your target market and utilize your Instagram. If I go to my Instagram insights, if you're not sure on who your target market is, say you've had Bob, Joe and Kate all buy your product. They're different ages, they're different markets. My recommendation is to look at your audience. So for me, you go to your Instagram insights there and you can see my age range demographic, if I'm going to be looking for my online audience, is between 25 and 34. And they're majority of women. So when my course for my social media course, which is releasing at the end of the week, gets released, I will be targeting with ads 25 to 34-year-old women who are in the demographic of agriculture. Engagement and goal setting. We've already talked about this. You can go back and set your goals. Highly recommend it. It's an amazing way to be able to grow your business and see your growth. Slowly but surely, I promise you'll get a great growth. Be authentic. Just be yourself, show up, and get out there. I highly recommend that. That is the best thing you can do. And healthy competition makes us better. Always having a little foot on the pulse and knowing who your competition is. Can't recommend that highly enough. Suss out who the people are working with you and against you. All right. So that is all from me. If you want to go and follow me on Instagram or Facebook, it's laviniawehr.social. So give me a call if you want to. Oh, I've gone, but that's okay. You can still hear me. I highly recommend you having a chat with me, making sure that, if my services are something that you might want to have a look at, just email me as well. you know, I hope that you really got something out of this. Please come and chat with me over on my socials. I'd love to talk to you. Yeah, I wish you the best of luck. Please tag me even in your videos if you're doing your first Instagram story. I'd love to see them. I'd love to share them. I'm happy to help in any way I can. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thanks, guys.